Hello, I am Tashi. When I was 14 years old, my strict parents put too much pressure on me. I was in school at that time. I was not good at studying. My parents always had high expectations for me. They wanted me to score higher than my bestie Andrew. But, unfortunately, I was never able to score marks more than him. My parents used to consider this as my careless attitude, so I had been warned by them most of the time to study well and perform well in other activities. Else, I have to survive without food and never get permission to go out and play. My childhood was full of stress, and my parents' behavior and high expectations led to changes in my behavior. I started reacting spontaneously to a normal conversation with my friends. My parents had started torturing me by locking me in the bathroom or sometimes in the storeroom without giving me food. And their wants I never fulfilled. I loved painting. My interest in drawing was enormous, but my parents won't allow me to draw because they feel it's a waste of time. They just wanted me to focus on my studies rather than other activities. Because of this reason, my maximum time was spent at home only. I used to go out only to attend school. My parents never wanted me to spend or waste my time anywhere else except for my studies. Sometimes, I used to help her in the household works, but if I made any mistakes, they and she used to shout at me. Finally, I gave my class 10th exams, and due to my parents' threatening nature and stressful life, my studies weren't complete. I was sure that I won't clear my exams. The night before my result, I was in deep stress, and I couldn't sleep peacefully. Finally, the result day arrived. I woke up early in the morning and checked my results. Undoubtedly, I had failed in every subject. When my parents came to know about it, they slapped me and locked me in my room, and I was not allowed to go anywhere. They stopped talking to me. After this accident, I was fully depressed from inside, and my heart was fully broken. Because of my parents' strict behavior, I was in my room alone and still living here alone for the past 3 years, doing nothing. I feel like I am in prison. What's your story? True Tales wants to hear it. If you also have any such moment, you can share it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked my story. Subscribe to the channel to watch more videos and press the bell icon for more updates.
Hi, I'm Isabel, and this is the story of how I became a mother and a sister at the same time. It all started a few years back when I was a senior in high school. In the beginning of senior year, a boy named Kevin transferred into our class. His dad had just gotten a new job which required his family to move to my city. I remember thinking he was cute when I first saw him. He was one of those silent types who would listen more than they would speak. Eventually, we got to talking and I started growing more and more attached. He would often catch me staring at him in class and he would give me a knowing smile, as if to say, I feel the same way. We started dating not long after, and those first few months were one of the happiest moments in my life. Kevin was one of the kindest people I've ever met. He would take me out to dates and movies, and he treated me like a princess. My mom loved him too. She would have no problem with me being out late at night as long as she knew Kevin was with me. My mom and I have always had a very special relationship. To me, she's not just a parent. She's also my sister and best friend. My mom is pretty young. See, she had me when she was just 18. She had met my dad in college and they got married when they were still students. She tells me it was one of those times when you just know that he's the one. Unfortunately, my dad was not long for this world. He died in an accident a year after I was born. When I was 14, my mom met Alan, and I could tell by looking at them that they loved each other dearly. He was a widower like my mom and had no children of his own. My mom had met him on a dating site, and after the first date, she came back home with a radiant glow on her face. I was so excited for her. I knew better than anyone how hard she had worked to raise me as a single mother, and the struggles she had endured. She deserved to be happy, and what made her happy was Alan. Pretty soon he became an important part of our lives. A couple months into my relationship, I started feeling nauseous, and I was tired all the time. One day I was looking in the mirror, and I noticed that my breasts had grown bigger. That was when it hit me. A million thoughts ran through my head. I was scared, confused, and mortified all at the same time. I was only 18, which also happened to be the same age as my mother was when she had me. After I confirmed it with a pregnancy test, the first thing I did was call Kevin. I told him we need to talk. Poor guy, he thought I was going to break up with him. I sat him down and told him that I was pregnant. For a second, I could see a range of emotions flutter through his face, and I was reminded of why I had fallen for him in the first place. He was just like me. His hesitation was only momentary, though, as he immediately told me that he would support me all the way through our shared ordeal. If I haven't mentioned it yet, let me just say how lucky I am to have someone like Kevin who loves and cares for me deeply. The next person I told was obviously my mom. I gently approached the subject while making idle conversation. The minute she heard it, tears welled up in her eyes. She just looked at me and started crying. For a long while, she did not say a word and just kept sobbing with her hands in her face. I was utterly confused. Was she angry? Disappointed? Or were these tears of joy? And that is when I noticed her figure. She had gained weight, and like me, her breasts had become swollen. My worst fear came true when she told me she was pregnant as well. I was outraged. I thought to myself, how could she do this to me? I had been counting on her being there for me through my pregnancy and afterwards. But how could she do that when she would be taking care of her own child? My little sister. And that's when I realized how selfish I was being. After all she'd done for me, my mom had every right to be happy. Then I started crying as well. We hugged each other tightly and we both cried for a long while. So there we were, 2 pregnant women. What I initially thought of as a complication turned out to be a blessing in disguise. My mom and I were there for each other through every step of the process. We did all our shopping together. We went to the same doctor, and we even craved the same junk food. It was a unique yet blissful experience, and it helped a lot that my mom had already been through it once before. My little girl was born 2 days before her aunt. 2 years later, they both look so much alike that anyone would mistake them for sisters. My mom and I take turns watching over them so that she can spend time with Alan, who has now become my stepfather, and I can have more time alone with my beloved Kevin. Getting pregnant at the same time as my mom has been a miracle, and a special bonding experience that has brought us even closer to each other. All of this has taught me that there's definitely light at the end of every tunnel, and what may initially seem like an obstacle might just be the best thing that has ever happened to you.
Hey y'all, this is Sarah, and today I will tell you the story of how my twin's boyfriend made me pregnant by mistake. I broke into a cheesy grin as the DJ started to play my favorite song. Baby, you're a firework. I screamed along to the Katy Perry hit, surrounded by friends. 2 girlfriends and I were at our favorite venue, celebrating the end of a long week. My twin sister Jen was supposed to come with us, but she had a headache and decided to stay home. This one's for Jen! We cheered with our glasses in the air as the track changed to a Sean Paul song. Midway through my gleeful boogie, I jolted as I felt a pair of hands loop around my waist. Hey you, the stranger whispered into my ear. I whirled around to see a stunning, dark-haired guy wearing a button-down shirt smiling at me. My cheeks flushed at his forwardness, but with a few vodka tonics in me, I embraced it. For hours we danced together, oblivious to the world around us. Do you want a drink? I asked as I emptied my glass. No thanks, I'm the designated driver tonight, he replied. But I'd love some fresh air. I followed him off the dance floor and we spilled out of the club and onto the street. I leaned against a wall as he drew a packet of cigarettes out of his pocket and lit one up. The chemistry between us was undeniable, even if we had only just met. Once he had finished his cigarette, he pulled me in for a pash. I've been waiting to do that all night. Come with me. Let's go somewhere more private. Butterflies fluttered about in my stomach in anticipation as he led me off to a side street where he unlocked a red Holden Commodore. He opened the back door for me. "After you," he said, and waved me in. In the car, things heated up quickly, and it wasn't long before we'd ripped each other's clothes off and made passionate love. The windows steamed up around us, and I tried not to think about what anyone passing by might see. Once it was over, I went to put my clothes back on. "I can't believe we haven't done this before," he laughed. I wasn't sure what he meant by the comment, but I brushed it off. When we stepped out of the car, I decided to go home while he was going back to find his friends in the club. He pulled me in for a hug and kissed me on the head. "See you later, Jen. Don't wait up," he said, before pulling away and strolling back up the street. I stood in stunned silence as I watched him walk off. Did he just call me by my sister's name? It suddenly dawned on me that the guy I had just slept with had mistaken me for my identical twin, Jen. We looked exactly the same, but her hair was shorter than mine. People mistook us all of the time. She too was a regular at the nightclub. I'd been too tipsy to even consider this as an option. I thought he just liked me. When he was being forward, I assumed he was just confident, but he thought I was someone he knew. I was mortified. Tears streamed down my face as I walked home. Jen had mentioned a boy she was seeing that she met at the club, but I never put two and two together. I had made a huge mistake, and I couldn't even tell Jen. It would break her heart. When I got home, I buried my head in my pillow and wept myself to sleep. The following day, I swore that I would keep the tryst a secret and never tell another soul what happened. As the weeks rolled by, I tried to put the whole ordeal behind me. "Where did you sneak off to the other night?" a friend of mine asked. "Oh, I wasn't feeling too well, so I decided to go home," I lied. When she asked me if I was free to go for another night out, I checked my diary. As I scanned the dates, it dawned on me that I'd missed my period. I was 5 days late. My heart thumped as I raced to the chemist to pick up a pregnancy test. Surely I wasn't pregnant. When I got home, I peed on the stick and spent 2 agonizing minutes waiting for the result. As it came up, I let out a wail. It was positive. I hadn't slept with anyone since the boy in the club. His name was Jono, and he and Jen had become an official couple. How had I gotten myself into this mess? I decided I would tell people half of the truth. I would say that I slept with a guy after a night out at the club, but I didn't know his name. At the time, that was true. The following day, I knew I had to tell Jen. When I got to her house, I fumbled nervously with my sleeve as she answered the door. "Jen, I'm pregnant. I slept with a guy on a night out, but I don't remember his name. It came out of my mouth like vomit." I looked down at the floor, ashamed. I didn't want to see the expression on her face, but she was so supportive. "Sarah, that is amazing. You're going to have a mini-me running around. I couldn't be happier for you," she said. Her encouragement felt like a knife to the heart. She was being lovely, but I was stabbing her in the back. As my pregnancy progressed, her relationship with Jono went from strength to strength. They even planned to move in together. When she introduced us, I pretended I'd never met him. Every time I saw Jen, the truth was on the tip of my tongue, but I could never muster the courage to tell her. I wished she would just dump the guy so that the issue would just go away. But that didn't happen. At 38 weeks, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and I called him Brock. One thing I know is that I can never tell anyone who the father is. From the moment Brock was born, I fell in love, and he brings meaning to my life. For now, Brock and I have each other, and that is enough. What's your story? True Tales wants to hear it. If you also have any such moment, you can share it in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you liked my story. Subscribe to this channel to watch more such videos and press the bell icon for more updates.